Talon Rook had always been a loner. He was an explorer, a wanderer, and a man who had traveled across galaxies but never stayed long enough in one place to build any real connections. He had seen countless planets, met strange creatures, and uncovered the secrets of long-forgotten civilizations. Yet no matter how many worlds he visited, he always felt the same sense of emptiness. His latest mission brought him to Seraphis, a beautiful but mysterious planet. It was known for its lush green forests, vast plains, and ancient ruins hidden deep in its surface. The planet had a reputation for being untouched by modern civilization, and that was exactly why Talon was here. It was a new world, waiting to be explored. But what made Seraphis even more intriguing was the secret it held. An ancient empire's technology buried beneath its surface, one that could change the balance of power across the galaxy. Talon's assignment was simple: gather information on the planet, search for signs of the lost empire, and report back to the council. He wasn't looking for anything more. He had no desire for adventure beyond the mission. But, as it often happened, things did not go as planned. When Talon first set foot on the planet, he wasn't expecting much, just a typical mission. But then he met Zara Leof, and everything changed. Zara was different from anyone Talon had ever met. She was a scientist, and a brilliant one at that. Her intelligence and knowledge were unmatched, but there was a certain distance to her, a coldness that Talon couldn't quite understand. She led the expedition team with a quiet authority, her every word measured, her every action deliberate. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way, but there was an aloofness to her that kept everyone at arm's length. At first, Talon thought nothing of it. He was used to people who kept their emotions hidden, but as they spent more time together, something about Zara piqued his curiosity. She didn't seem like the others. She wasn't just focused on the mission. She carried a weight that Talon couldn't place. It wasn't just the mystery of Seraphis that intrigued him, but the mystery of Zara herself. One evening, after a long day of exploring the planet's dense forests and ancient ruins, the team gathered in their temporary base camp. The stars above were bright, and the air was cool, filled with the sounds of distant wildlife. Talon found himself sitting near Zara, a small campfire flickering between them. The other team members were busy preparing their gear, but Talon couldn't keep his eyes off Zara. There was something about her, a quiet strength that made her stand out.
Out of nowhere, Talon made a light-hearted comment. "Is there space in your bed for one more?"
he asked, half joking, as he watched her unpack her gear. Zara turned to him, her expression unreadable. For a moment, Talon thought she would ignore him, but instead, she gave him a slight smile. The kind of smile that hinted at something deeper. "Only if you're looking for a place in my life," she replied, her voice soft but firm. Talon was taken aback. He wasn't sure if she was joking or serious, but there was something in her eyes that made him wonder if there was more to her words than a simple tease. It was an odd response, but it was also intriguing. He had no idea what she meant, but he couldn't shake the feeling that her words held a hidden challenge. Talon had spent most of his life in space, and he knew that relationships were complicated, especially when it came to people like Zara. She was distant, mysterious, and clearly not interested in making friends. But the way she had answered his joke made him curious. Curious about her past, her motivations, and what lay beneath the surface of her guarded exterior. The next few days were filled with more exploration and occasional encounters with Zara. Talon tried to keep his distance, but every time he saw her, he couldn't help but wonder about the layers she kept hidden. He began to notice little things, how she always seemed to be the first one awake, how she worked tirelessly, never asking for help, never showing weakness. She was always in control, always the leader. But there was an air of sadness around her, something Talon couldn't place. One evening, as they sat around the campfire again, Talon decided to ask her more about the planet, thinking it would give him a reason to talk to her. "What exactly are we looking for on this planet, Zara?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Zara looked at him, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames of the fire. "We're looking for more than just ruins, Talon," she replied.
"We're looking for answers about the empire that once lived here."
About their technology. About why they disappeared. Talon raised an eyebrow. You don't seem to just be interested in the technology, though. There's more to this mission for you, isn't there? Zara's eyes darkened for a moment, and she looked away, her jaw tightening. Sometimes things aren't just about technology, she said quietly, as if speaking more to herself than to Talon. Sometimes they're about what we're willing to sacrifice to uncover the truth. Talon didn't push her further. He knew when to back off. But her words stuck with him. There was something deeper in Zara's mission. Something personal. And Talon was starting to wonder if he was meant to be part of it, or if he was just another person who would get in her way. That night, as Talon lay in his tent, he couldn't stop thinking about Zara's words. He had always kept his emotions in check, never letting anyone get too close. But something about Zara made him want to understand her, to know her story. Maybe, just maybe, there was more to this mission than he had originally thought. And as the stars shone down on the distant world of Seraphis, Talon Rook couldn't help but wonder. Was Zara offering him more than just a place on her team? Could there be a place for him in her life as well? The next day, the team continued their mission. They ventured deeper into the heart of Seraphis, a place where few had dared to go. The landscape was beautiful, but dangerous. The planet seemed to pulse with a life of its own, as if it were hiding something waiting to be uncovered. Talon couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, but he pushed the thought aside. It was probably just the weight of the planet's mystery pressing down on him. Zara led the way, as always, her steps confident and sure. She was the expert in ancient civilizations, and her team trusted her leadership. Yet, despite the respect everyone had for her, Talon still noticed the walls she kept around herself. It wasn't just the mission that mattered to her. There was something personal at stake, and he was beginning to suspect that she wasn't telling anyone, especially him, what that was. As the day wore on, they reached the ruins that Zara had been so eager to explore. The ancient city was buried under centuries of dirt and plant life. It looked like something from another time, a place where advanced technology once thrived, but now lay forgotten and dormant. The air was thick with the scent of moss and the rustle of leaves. It felt like they had stepped into another world. Talon and Zara worked together, scanning the area for signs of ancient technology. The others spread out, but it was clear that Zara's mind was focused on something more than just the mission. She was searching for answers. But answers to what, exactly? Talon couldn't help but watch her as she moved through the ruins, her eyes intense, her every action purposeful. She was searching, not just with her mind, but with her heart. "I think we found something," Zara said suddenly, her voice breaking through Talon's thoughts. She knelt down beside an ancient stone tablet, her fingers tracing over the carvings that seemed to glow faintly in the low light. Talon stepped closer, his curiosity piqued.
"What does it say?"
he asked, crouching beside her. Zara didn't answer at first, her brow furrowing as she studied the symbols. "It's a language I've seen before, but not like this. It's a variation of the ancient dialect we've been studying. This tablet was made by the civilization that once ruled the galaxy. They were ahead of their time." Talon studied the symbols with interest, but he couldn't read them. To him, they were just strange marks on a stone. But to Zara, they were the key to something far bigger than anyone had realized. As Zara carefully examined the tablet, Talon found himself thinking back to her earlier words. She had said that sometimes things weren't just about technology. They were about what they were willing to sacrifice to uncover the truth. He wondered what that truth was, and why Zara seemed so determined to find it. The more he watched her, the more he realized that there was a fire inside her. It wasn't just about uncovering secrets. It was about something deeply personal. But Zara wouldn't open up about it, not to anyone. Talon could tell that she had been hurt before, that she had been through something that had made her this way. Closed off, focused only on the mission and unwilling to let anyone close. "Zara," Talon said quietly, breaking the silence. "What are you really looking for here? Is it just the ruins? Or is there something more?" She looked up at him, her expression unreadable. For a moment, Talon thought she might shut him out, but instead, her eyes softened. "It's more than just the ruins," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "This planet, Seraphis, holds more than just the remains of an ancient empire. It holds a key to something that's been lost, something that could change everything."
What could possibly be so important? Zara paused, her gaze drifting to the ruins around them. The empire that once ruled this galaxy.
They had knowledge, power, technology that could manipulate time itself. If we find it, it could change the course of history.
But it's dangerous, Talon. More dangerous than anything we've faced.
Talon stared at her, taking in her words. The weight of what she was saying hit him hard. This wasn't just an archaeological mission. It was a race against time, to find something that could alter the fate of the entire galaxy. And Zara was leading the charge, willing to risk everything to find it.
"Why are you so invested in this, Zara?" Talon asked.
"What's driving you?" Zara stood up slowly, her eyes narrowing as she met his gaze. "I lost someone close to me," she said, her voice tinged with emotion. "They were a part of this mission before me. They believed in this cause. But they didn't make it. I owe it to them to finish what they started." Talon understood now. Zara wasn't just trying to unlock the secrets of the past for the sake of discovery. She was driven by loss, by a promise to someone she had loved and lost. The mission had become personal, and Zara had become too wrapped up in it to let anyone else in. "I get it," Talon said quietly. "You're doing this for them." "I have to. I don't know how to move on without finishing this." He had always been a man who kept his emotions in check, never allowing anyone to get too close. But here, on this planet, with Zara, he could feel the weight of her pain, and for the first time in years, he felt the stirrings of something deeper than just curiosity. Maybe he wasn't the only one carrying a burden. As the team continued to search the ruins, Talon couldn't help but feel a shift between them. He was no longer just a companion on this mission. He was becoming something more, a part of Zara's journey, whether she wanted him to be or not.
And he was starting to wonder if, maybe, he could help her find what she was looking for, not just in the ruins of Seraphis, but in herself.
The mission was reaching a critical point. The deeper Talon and Zara ventured into the heart of Seraphis, the more intense the sense of discovery became. Every step they took seemed to unravel more of the planet's secrets. But the danger was also growing. The planet wasn't as empty as they had first thought. There were signs of life, hidden forces watching them, waiting for the right moment to strike. It was early morning when the next shift began. The team had spent most of the night mapping the ruins and cataloging any findings. Zara had barely slept. Her eyes were tired, but there was a fire inside her that wouldn't let her stop. She was on a mission, and nothing could stand in her way. Talon, on the other hand, had been feeling the pressure too. The more he learned about Zara's past, the more he understood why she was so determined. But it also made him realize how much she was pushing herself to the brink, and that worried him. As they moved further into the ruins, they came upon a large underground chamber. The walls were covered in strange symbols, glowing faintly in the darkness. There was an energy here, something powerful, something that had been hidden for centuries. Zara moved with purpose, her eyes scanning every detail. She didn't speak much, lost in the puzzle that lay before her. Talon watched her for a moment. He could tell she was close to something. There was a tension in the air, like the planet itself was holding its breath, waiting for the next move. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He had a sense that the deeper they went, the more dangerous it would get. "Zara," he called quietly. stepping closer. Are you sure we should keep going? We found so much already.
Zara didn't look up.
She was focused, too focused to hear him. Her hands traced the symbols on the wall, her mind racing through the possibilities. Then she paused, her fingers resting on one of the carvings. This is it, she whispered, almost to herself.
This is what we've been searching for.
Talon's heart skipped a beat. What do you mean?
What have we found? Zara turned to him, her face serious. This isn't just a city. It's a vault. A vault that holds something powerful.
Something beyond anything we've ever seen. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes shone with excitement.
The ancient empire wasn't just advanced in technology.
They mastered the manipulation of time itself. Talon's brow furrowed. Time? Are you saying they could control time? Zara nodded.
Not just control it. They could change it.
Alter it. They could bend the past and future to their will. And now, we're about to unlock that power. Talon felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't just a simple mission anymore. This was something much bigger. The implications of what Zara was saying were enormous. If they found this technology, it could change everything. But at what cost? Zara, Talon said, his voice low.
This is dangerous. We don't know what we're dealing with.
We don't know how it works, or what kind of consequences it could have.
Zara's eyes softened for a moment.
She knew the risks. She had known them all along. But the chance to finish what she had started, to honor the memory of the person she had lost, was too important to her. It was the only thing that kept her going. I know, she replied quietly, but I have to do this. For them. For myself. I have to know what happened to them. I have to know if their vision can be brought back to life. Talon didn't respond right away. He understood more than she realized. He had his own reasons for pushing forward, his own need to find answers. But this was more than just finding answers. This was a dangerous game, one that neither of them might survive. I can't let you do this alone, Talon said finally, his voice firm. Zara turned to him, her eyes wide. She had been expecting him to argue, but not this. You don't have to be here, she said softly. This is my mission, not yours. Talon took a step closer. It may be your mission, but I'm not going to leave you to face this alone. We're in this together, whether you like it or not. For a moment, Zara didn't know what to say. She had spent so much time keeping people at a distance, protecting herself from the possibility of losing anyone else. She had never allowed herself to depend on anyone. But here was Talon, offering his help, his support, even when he had no idea what they were truly up against. And for the first time in a long time, Zara found herself willing to accept that support. Thank you, she whispered, the words catching in her throat. Together, they moved forward, into the heart of the vault. The walls around them seemed to pulse with energy, as if the very air was charged with the power of the ancient civilization that had once lived here. The deeper they went, the more they felt the weight of what they were about to unlock. As they reached the center of the vault, a massive stone door stood before them. It was ancient, covered in more symbols that Zara immediately began to decipher. Her hands trembled as she touched the door, her eyes wide with anticipation. This is it, she breathed. We're about to find out what the Empire really did. Talon stood behind her, his eyes scanning the room, his senses on alert. He didn't know what they would find on the other side of that door, but one thing was certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. With a deep breath, Zara placed her hand on the door, and with a soft hum, it slowly began to open. The light from the vault flickered as something ancient stirred within, and Talon felt a chill run down his spine. What lay beyond that door could change everything. And for better or worse, they were about to find out. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a vast chamber beyond. The air inside was thick with the weight of time, and every step Talon and Zara took seemed to echo in the silence. The room was filled with ancient machinery, its purpose lost to time, but still glowing faintly with a strange blue light. It was unlike anything Talon had ever seen. The technology here was old, yet it hummed with a power that seemed to reach into the very core of the planet. Zara stepped forward first, her eyes wide with awe. She had found the key, the final piece of the puzzle. She had spent so many years searching, and now, standing in this chamber, she felt closer to the answers than she had ever been before. But even as Zara moved deeper into the room, Talon's sense of unease grew stronger. There was something wrong here. The air felt thick, as if the room itself was alive, waiting for something. The walls were covered in carvings, and as Zara touched one, it began to glow more brightly, as though it recognized her touch.
"Zara, be careful!"
Talon warned, stepping closer. Zara didn't respond. She was too focused, too consumed by the discovery in front of her. The symbols on the walls were more than just ancient writing. They were part of a system, a map of some kind. Zara's fingers moved quickly, tracing the lines with an urgency that only she could understand. "We're getting close," she whispered to herself, more to reassure herself than anyone else. She was so close to unlocking the truth, and nothing would stop her now. Talon stood back, watching her carefully. He knew how much this meant to her, but he also knew the risks. The deeper they went into this forgotten part of the Empire, the more dangerous it became. They were dealing with something far beyond their understanding, something that could reshape the galaxy itself.
"Zara, we need to talk,"
Talon said, his voice firm.
"This power you're after, it's not just about the mission."
"It's more than that. You're not just looking for answers for yourself. You're looking to bring back something that's been lost." Zara turned to him, her eyes filled with a mixture of frustration and determination.
"You don't understand, Talon. You don't know what it's like to lose someone, to lose everything, and have to live with that."
"I can't just walk away from this. Not now."
Not when I'm this close. Talon felt the weight of her words.
He had never truly allowed himself to become attached to anyone. But Zara's pain, her need for closure, made him understand her drive. He couldn't blame her for wanting to finish what she had started. But at what cost?
"I understand more than you think,"
Talon said softly.
"I've lost things too, but we can't let that cloud our judgment."
This power you're trying to unlock, it's dangerous. It has the potential to change everything, but it could also destroy us.
"We don't know what we're dealing with here."
Zara shook her head, her face hardening. "I can't stop now, Talon. I've come too far. If I have to risk everything to finish this, then I will. There's no turning back." Talon's heart sank, but he knew there was no convincing her. Zara had made up her mind. She wasn't just chasing a ghost. She was chasing the hope of bringing back something that could change the future. But the danger of what they were unleashing weighed heavily on him. As Zara continued to study the carvings, the room seemed to grow darker, the air more oppressive. Talon could feel the room shifting, like it was reacting to their presence. The walls began to pulse with a rhythmic energy, and the strange machinery that filled the chamber hummed louder. It was as if something was waking up, something that had been dormant for centuries, waiting for the right moment. And then it happened. A low rumble echoed through the chamber, and the ground beneath them trembled. The machinery came to life, its lights flickering on, casting strange shadows on the walls. Talon's instincts kicked in. He grabbed Zara's arm, pulling her away from the glowing symbols.
"Zara, we need to get out of here! Now!"
he shouted, his voice urgent. Zara tried to pull away, her eyes wild with excitement.
No! I'm so close!
"I can feel it! This is the moment we've been waiting for." But the ground shook violently, and a deep, mechanical growl filled the air. Talon looked around, his pulse quickening. The room was changing, the technology waking up, and it wasn't responding to them in a friendly way. "We don't have time for this," Talon said, his voice low and dangerous. "Whatever's here, it's not meant to be awakened. It's not ready for us." Before Zara could protest, a massive stone door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The lights in the room flickered out, leaving them in complete darkness. A sound, the sound of grinding metal, echoed from the far corner of the chamber. Talon's hand went to his weapon, his heart racing. They were no longer alone. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was a machine, but unlike anything Talon had ever seen. Its body was made of dark metallic plates, its eyes glowing red as it took a step forward, its movements slow and deliberate. The air in the chamber felt thick, as though the machine itself was drawing the life out of it. Talon stepped in front of Zara, positioning himself between her and the threat.
"Stay behind me," he ordered. Zara looked up at him, her face filled with a mix of fear and determination.
She didn't want to run. She didn't want to leave. But she knew they were outmatched. The machine was enormous, far too powerful for them to handle without the right tools. As the machine advanced, Talon tightened his grip on his weapon. This wasn't just about unlocking the secrets of Seraphis anymore. This was about survival. They had awakened something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined, and now they had to fight for their lives.